This year so far, Warren Buffett has sold 5 very large amounts of shares for BYD, which is strange because they're doing so well. But it kind of makes sense actually if you look at the way that he invests his money and you look at the graph of the share price. So I think I know what's going on. He has had a large percentage of shares for 14 years, and I suspect that Warren Buffett has had some sort of a plan with BYD since he purchased a large amount of their shares back in 14 years ago. He's obviously a very good investor, so he knows what he's doing. So let's just look at here. He has sold 5 very large amounts. 3 of them were very, very large, so 34 million US dollars worth of shares, and then there was $80 million worth of shares, and then there was $145 million worth of shares, all within the past few months. So what could this mean? This is my interpretation, and tell me in the comments if you think I'm wrong, because I think investing is quite complex. But I imagine he knows that the riskiest part is now over. He has won, so he's getting out, and he's getting out slowly as to not rock the market or maybe even affect the company, to just get rid of huge. He still owns 19% of BYD after all of this. So when you look at the graph, which I'll put on screen now, he the company has started from not very much at all, and it's gone way up, and then he sold his stock. So I think he's just freeing up money. He still knows he has a large stake in the company, so the company's future success will obviously benefit him a lot. If you do look to a degree, the share price has flattened out. That initial rush where the price has gone way up, that's already been and gone, So now there's potential that it will keep on rocketing up. But when you look at the landscape, like I was talking about in the last video, which is just there, the landscape of auto electric vehicles, it has changed dramatically in the last 10 years. BYD is a pretty large part of the landscape. There is a good chance BYD will continue with being super successful and making great cars, and so it might not be as dramatic as that first, but it might be something that he wants to keep a hold of. So he will probably keep I reckon he'll keep 10 or 20% of his shares. Like he apparently does. He still owns 19% of the company. So BYD have had a lot of their success because of the Blade battery technology, which they are now selling to other companies. And they're actually a great type of battery. So if you look at the Blade batteries, generally it's just a long strip battery. It's kind of like the design of a battery cell, and they're made from LFP battery chemistry, so they can operate safely when you pierce them with a nail. They just get warm between 30 and 60 degrees Celsius on the surface temperature. You can overcharge them by 260%, puncture them with a nail, run over them, cook them in a furnace to 300 degrees Celsius, and they don't set on fire, which is what we know batteries like to do sometimes when you mistreat them. So LFP battery technology is brilliant, but when you put them in the Blade format, really, really good, really practical. It just makes them a very useful type of battery. So BYD have been doing very, very well since they announced that technology. So that's kind of why I think maybe BYD are doing so well, and also they are making great cars with great reviews, and they're pretty different cars. They look kind of normal from the outside, but the inside are quite funky. So if you have looked at the Atto 3, for example. In the last video, when I was talking about the landscape changing for electric vehicles, the landscape of the automotive industry is changing a lot. That's partly because of the success of all these new companies that you might not have heard of until the last 10 years. So BYD has been selling cars for about 10 years or so. This year, between July and September, in that quarter, they made between 760 and 820 million US dollars profit, which is a lot of money. That's an increase of 330 to 365% from the same quarter, but last year, the year before. Ford made about 1.2 billion in the same quarter, which is brilliant. So the BYD are doing super well. They're not too far off the size of Ford if you look at how much money they're making. But BYD's sales year on year have gone up like this, like crazy. Tesla revealed the first quarter this year they made 3.32 billion US dollars. So Tesla obviously doing really well too. That's about it. They're doing really well. BYD are doing brilliant. Warren Buffett, I think he has an idea of what's going on. I think that's why he has been selling a lot of his shares. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.